What's going on, people? Welcome back to another JSTV. Back again. It's the match preview between Chelsea and Newcastle on Monday night. And I've got the head of Chelsea Fans TV, Alex, with us. Big up, Alex. How are you doing, mate?
Thanks for having me on, man. It's first time on the channel, and I'm looking forward to speaking with you about the Newcastle game. But I mean, generally speaking, I think you've probably got more to look forward to this season than Chelsea fans. But you know, we'll get into it, and I'm sure there's a lot of things that the comments will be debating. I personally think that the season Newcastle are having is what I expected Chelsea to have, if I'm honest with you, especially in terms of the league. But I mean, you guys, even with European football, I know it's not been as good as last year, but I mean, I'm still impressed with Newcastle. I think Eddie Howe's doing a good job. I like Newcastle as a club in terms of, you know, where you have come from with Mike Ashley. And yeah, I mean, if I was a Newcastle fan right now, I'd be very, very excited to play Chelsea because this is probably a good time for you.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I mean, Chelsea's not having the best of season so far, unfortunately. I can't lie because I expected more than Chelsea. And yes, Pochettino's gone in his first season. There has to be a success as well. So, guys, if you like the video, like what you watch, make sure you like, subscribe. And if you'd like to super chat, then just give what channel's worth. And if you'd like to become a member, it's just 99p. So, yeah, I've got couple comments back in the net. Hi to you. Hi to Mark. Hi to Lorraine. Hi to Leslie. Also, get me channel shared out as well. Hi to Gary. And got some good ones here tonight. And everyone in the chat as well. And it's good to hear the Brighton lad attacked. Our stable here. Shocking state of affairs. So, you know what? I love Italy, but that wasn't good today. And I do apologize here about that. I'm glad the guys are okay. Right, let's talk about your season so far. Chelsea, you spent $1 billion and you still haven't got a centre forward, in my opinion. Yeah. And you know what? Give us an assessment of your season. Are you happy with the season? Could you have done better? Do you think Poch needs a bit more time? Tell us about it, man.
Well, this is where there's the split, right? So, I mean, I don't know about other fans. I don't know about your mates, your Newcastle fans, all the rest of you guys. There's a massive split with Chelsea fans. I would have said 50-50, but I think since we lost the cup final, it's probably more in favor of the negative side of things. There was a decent amount of support for Poch, the project. I am one of the, I don't want to say the catalysts of that, but obviously we speak on the channel about it, and I very much back the process. I believe in the process. People think that I'm full of rubbish because I think that it takes time to build something successful. I mean, it takes time to build anything that's successful, right? And if my belief is this, if we had Roman Abramovich at the club, if we had the same players that we had years ago, then I would be looking at this situation. I'd be in agreement with a lot of fans. I've been in agreement with Lewis, who you've probably seen on the channel, and plenty of others who despise Pochettino. I mean, I'll make that very clear. You really don't like Poch, even if you're in my shoes. I don't like Poch, but I believe that he is better than what we're seeing at the moment. And that tells me this man is walking into a mess. And to be quite frank, it's not his fault that we got rid of all of our experience. Forget the pitch. I mean, look off the pitch. I mean, we're getting rid of our groundsman. We're getting rid of our physio. And then we wonder why we've got one of the worst injury records in the league, which nobody talks about. Then you look at the board of directors. The ownerships have never had any experience running a football club. You know, they bought Strasbourg recently as well, and they're organising a protest against Blueco, which is the group that own Chelsea and Strasbourg. And I don't blame the fans for being angry, but for me, it's very similar to Arsenal. And in some respects, Liverpool, people go, well, they didn't spend $1 billion. Well, that is true, but they had some form of stability, right? When Arsene Wenger left Arsenal, Emery came in, and then Arteta afterwards. There were people that were still there from the Wenger era, right? Keeping that club ticking the same way they would have done as long as they would have been there. So they have people who understood the club. We don't have that. We have Brighton board of directors, we have, you could argue, a Brighton mentality, Brighton quality of players. I believe that, to be honest with you. People go, well, the team compete against good teams, so that means they must be good. But I'm sorry, if you're good, you can also compete against not very good teams. And it sounds blunt, but it's true. And Pochettino has done far better with far less resources. And that tells me that the resources aren't being spent in the right place. You said earlier, John, a striker. And, we were the best team defensively in the league last season.
Yeah.
We couldn't score a goal to save our life, though. This season, we're scoring loads of goals, but we're conceding just as many. So, we're finding the balance. I find it ridiculous when people say that we don't try and play attacking football. We definitely do. Otherwise, we wouldn't score goals. But I think it's just a case of gritting your teeth this season, if I'm honest, John. When I speak to people, I'm still Poch in terms of, I don't think we should sack him. I don't think that makes things better. But it's very hard to defend him if we don't get Europe. I mean, even Conference League, in my eyes, is a progression. And that is a low bar for Chelsea. But that's where we're at.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, at the end of the day, new owners come in as well. Todd Bowie as well, we're going to come on to later on. And yes, you've got to give Pochettino more time. Do you know what I mean? In my opinion, he's just walked in. I mean, look, give him another season, in my opinion. And if he doesn't do it, then maybe look at it. Do you know what I mean? So, I mean, I have to agree with you. I mean, it's like our manager, always back the manager every single time. But at the end of the day, the players we've got, they need a bit more time bedding in. You've got players like Batshuayi, Disasi, and you've got also Caicedo as well, knows the Premier League as well. And they need time. But for me, I think they need to work as a team more. I don't know what you think, Alex.
What do you mean by that?
I mean this, right? I mean, the players need more time to gel, in my opinion.
Oh,
yeah.
100%. I mean, but who wouldn't need time to gel? I mean, John, let's just imagine, right?
Yeah, man.
That we started a company, right? Me and you have never worked together in our life. And then we bring in 25, 30 people that have also never worked together. They've all come from different backgrounds. They've all come from different experiences. Some of them have come from Ukraine. Some of them have come from Portugal, France, Argentina, Brazil. And then you expect to get the ground running straight away. Nobody knows what it means to play for Chelsea right now. They know the background of the club. They know the history of the club. But ultimately, if you're not good right now, then you don't have a standard to aspire to. You have young players that would have come in 10 years ago into Chelsea, and most of the time they wouldn't be able to get into the team, and that's fine because we had great players, so it's understandable why it's difficult, but they would have something to aspire towards. If you're a centre-back, I want to be like John Terry. If you're a striker, I want to be like Drogba. And you can mirror these players. You can see the way they train. And that is what you want to get out of yourself. You want to live up to that standard. And now we have players like Mudryk, young upcoming player, Madueke. They're looking up to Sterling. And Sterling is apparently, that is the best we have at Chelsea. He's rubbish. I hate him. And I'm the positive guy. He's rubbish. He's way past it. He was past it at Man City. Great business getting rid of him and giving him to us. And we've fallen into the trap. This guy said he wanted to be the main man, the center of attention. He is the center of attention for all the wrong reasons, because Pochettino keeps playing this guy and he keeps letting us down week in, week out. For me, we have got rid of a lot of the deadwood from last season, which is certainly something I'm happy to see. But in doing that, we've got rid of a lot of our experience and our quality, right? And I mean, if you're looking at boardroom level, that's where it's questionable, because I think that should have stayed the same for a bit longer. But from the players' perspective, I do get it. But now we're a team that are actually hungry. John, you must have watched games with Newcastle this season and said, oh, the players, they didn't give 100%. And you would have lost that game, most likely. People say that. This season, there's obviously one or two games where you think, okay, they could have done more. But generally speaking, we lose a lot of these games. People are going, oh, the players didn't give everything. I'm not seeing that. I'm seeing players that are giving 110% and they're just not good enough. And that is where we are at the moment. We're a team that are, we've downgraded in terms of the quality. The effort is certainly better than last season. I would actually say the football's better than last season as well. That might be hard to believe,
Yeah,
but I do think that's the case. And we do have to grit our teeth. You know, Klopp finished, I think, 8th in his first year. He finished 4th the next year. Arteta finished 8th in his first 2 seasons, then managed to progress. I think this is a big job, you know, and big jobs take time. If we had a backbone in the dressing room, then it's different. You would have seen what they would have done under other managers, but we don't have that. So you have to trust that Pochettino knows what he's doing. And if
yeah,
these owners have any idea what they're doing, they're going to stick to this process they've set. We talk about longevity, sticking with Graham Potter. We gave him a 5-year contract, John.
yeah.
And then we sacked him after 6 months. And that
I don't
tells you,
understand that.
okay, yeah, we made a mistake. That's fair enough. And actually, looking at last season, it tells you maybe Potter wasn't the problem. But this season, we've come in again. We've said we're going to try this long-term process. You've given Potter a 2-year contract, so they've learned
Yeah,
from Graham Potter.
great.
But if they sack him now, I think that it just shows they don't even know what they're doing. They don't believe in what they're doing, and they don't have a clue. Because as far as I'm concerned, you've made your bed. You spent all this money on potential, so you have to trust in that potential.
Yeah, Alistair, I totally agree with you 100% there. Do you know what I mean? I don't stand to the match, it's down to the players not performing, in my opinion. But some are, some aren't. And agreed with Lorenz going with you. Try telling some of our fickle fans who are shouting how out it takes time to rebuild.
But what do you
That's what I mean.
expect from Newcastle? I mean, if you look at the league table, you're not struggling. You know, you're in a stable position. You're still competitive. You can still get European football. I don't know if Champions League is realistic, but Europa League is certainly on the cards.
Yeah.
Conference as well. You're in front of us.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
sorry about that.
yeah, and I'm saying give Poch time. So I think Newcastle fans need to. I don't want to disrespect Newcastle or anything like that, but you've come from Mike Ashley. I mean, you should be happy
Yeah.
where you are. I'm not saying settle for less, but Eddie Howe's a great manager who did miracles with Bournemouth, and he is a good manager to lead Newcastle. You're going to have a blip. It's your first season with European football, for Christ's sake. I mean, if he can build on that again next season and finish higher up, it's that wave effect, and that is ultimately what happens when a team isn't used to being in a certain position. Newcastle fans, I don't understand why you want to get rid of Howe. Who comes in and does a better job? Who comes in?
Fact. I'm Eddie in all day long. He's here for a project. Yeah. I mean, yes, we've been unlucky with injuries this season. We had 13 players out for quite a long time. And then now they're coming back in, Alex. But saying that, right, if you don't get European football this season, guess what? We move and we've got to stick with Eddie Howe because I'm Eddie Howe fan and he will get it right. Our owners, we don't hear from them. We don't know what's going to go with them. Are they sacking owners? Are they listening to the fans? For me, that's answer itself. The owners listen to our fans, and we're going to back Eddie Howe all day long because he is a fantastic young manager. And you know what? I could see him be here for quite a few more years yet. I mean, what do you think?
I like Eddie Howe. I think he tries to play good football. I think he tries to play aggressive football. I think that he understands the Premier League. He understands the English Football League as a whole because he got X amount of, I think it was 3 promotions with Bournemouth or something like that. So this is a guy who knows England inside out. And ultimately, when the times have changed, the circumstances have changed, a good manager adapts with those changes. I think Thomas Frank is another one you could put in the same bracket. But, Thomas Frank, for me, wouldn't be, if he left Brentford, that would be a good one. Would you take Thomas Frank at Newcastle if the opportunity came? Let's say you had to choose between Eddie and Thomas Frank. What would you do?
That's a very good question for me. I'll stick with Eddie all day, Eddie. But Thomas Frank would definitely come with the conversation in future years if Eddie decides to move on. I think Thomas Frank deserves a big club because he's done a fantastic job at Brentford. Yeah, he kept them up. He's turned into a quality striker. I'm a Tony fan. I like him, but he's fantastic. But he has done really well. I mean, yes, they're in a bit of trouble at the minute. I think they're fifth bottom in the league. However, it'll keep them up, all right? But he is an underrated manager, and I think Thomas Frank deserves a bigger club in Brentford.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes the problem as well is when you're an English manager. Oh, he's not going anywhere. Yeah, that's good. That's good. If he's not going
He's not
anywhere,
going anywhere.
I think that's
Exactly.
positive. But
Good.
no, with English managers, what you find is because they're English, you almost, I don't know. I think it's the opposite with English players. English players get overhyped. English managers get underhyped. And even when you're doing a great job,
Yeah.
if there's an attractive name out there, like let's say Lopetegui, right? He's a good manager. He did a good job with Wolves.
Yeah.
I know I met Dazzling Dave. He has a Wolves fan channel. I spoke with him. Apparently, Lopetegui still lives in Wolves because he's waiting for another Premier League job, which is absolutely crazy. You wouldn't think that he would hang around this long waiting for a Premier League job. Maybe go back to Spain, do something there. He's waiting for another opportunity. I think that if you don't get European football, as an ownership, I would understand why they would be putting pressure on Eddie Howe.
Yeah.
You've got all that money, but you can't actually spend it because you don't generate the capital. Now we're lucky. We could generate a little bit more than Newcastle because we've been competing for longer. But again, you've got to be realistic and you've got to look at it as a process. So, I mean, there's two sides to every coin. If you were to bring in another manager, maybe that's going to give you something that Eddie never had, right? But what Eddie Howe does give you is stability, a structure, and a consistency that you can prove with his CV at Bournemouth. I mean, to go from that job into the Newcastle job, I think first of all, he's very intelligent to wait as long as he did. The right job came about. He's revolutionized your club in terms of playing style. That's the first thing. I haven't seen Newcastle play anything like they've been playing with Eddie Howe for the previous 15 years prior. So, that in itself is a massive upgrade. But then you want the results as well. So you've got to split yourself between the two. I don't think Newcastle fans would really want Mourinho, a manager like that coming in.
Not
People
for me.
go, well, he can win. But then you'll lose your playing style. And I think that Newcastle strikes me as one of those clubs, unlike Chelsea, who are very, very proud of the way they want to play. Similar to Tottenham, right? You'll sacrifice results in a sense to play the right football. Chelsea aren't that club, right? We've never been that club. We would rather just win. We don't really care how it looks. And we're actually almost changing to this model of, let's play good football and sacrifice a little bit, which is causing part of the divide. I mean, he's a good manager, man. I don't know what else to tell you. He's solid.
Fantastic. Thanks for backing up at Eddie Howe, by the way, because you know what? He's going to go a long way. What you said there, you're absolutely right. So with the social media, want to Howe out. They need to get their head a shake. Let's put it that way.
Are they all on Twitter, though, John? Let me ask you that. Do people say this on YouTube, or is it all on Twitter?
It's on Twitter. For I've seen Twitter, really, but some are just taking a notice, Alex, because I can't do a negativity at all. Do you know what I mean? So, I mean, I'm Eddie in. That's all I care about. If they want him out, then who do they want in? That's it. So, for me, I just think let him get on with it. For me.
But so you haven't had any on-stream debates or people on YouTube per se saying that he should go?
No, not really. All it is just Eddie in as well. Like,
you go.
I do get a comment saying that he needs to be moved on, but you know what? Most of them are just positive Eddie, so they want him in.
I think if that's probably the feeling of the whole club, then, right? Because you tend to find, I don't know, with the Chelsea space. I mean, there's so many bloody creators, and that's where you can see the split because you've got some people on this side, some people on the other side. and there's a clear divide. If everyone's saying similar things, in terms of the fan channels, everything like that, then that tells me there's not really a big need to worry. I mean, Twitter's always toxic, isn't it?
Exactly. So toxic. But I totally agree with you, man. I've got one here from there's strong rumours that Lewis Hall will be going back. So that's another 28-30 mil they're missing out if it's true. Lewis Hall, I mean, I like Lewis Hall, but Eddie Howe doesn't seem to pick him for some reason. Do you know what I mean? Because I heard a lot of people say because it's coming in late in training, etc. I don't know that, but only Eddie knows. But for me, I think he's a really good young player. I mean, how far can this lad go? Because you had him at Chelsea. I've seen a couple of games where he looked well.
He's a great player. I mean, I'm very surprised that that Eddie Howe's not playing him, to be honest with you. I would take him in this Chelsea squad. Ben Chilwell hasn't been performing at left back. Cucurella last season was horrific. Seems to have got a little bit better this season, but then he got injured. And then we've been playing Colwell as a left back, which hasn't been very popular under the Chelsea fan base. The Poch persisted with that for quite a while. And now Chilwell's back. Colwell's back in his centre back position. I think Ben Chilwell's injured again. And Colwell's injured. So that tells you that we need more depth in that position. We need more quality in that position. I know that Lewis Hall is a boyhood Newcastle fan, if I'm not wrong. But he's grown up in the Chelsea academy, right? He knows what it means to play for Chelsea. I've got a friend who I go to Chelsea with who taught Lewis Hall. He's a teacher. He taught Lewis Hall in primary school. So they're very close connections with the fan base and Lewis Hall himself. There was no hard feelings when he left to Newcastle. It's obvious that was the ownership that were doing that, and I'm sure he was happy to go. But I don't think he would have had a problem staying anyway. The reason he went to Newcastle was to get game time, and you're still not getting that at a club like Newcastle. So that tells me if he was to come back, it wouldn't be a big problem. We need the money with FFP, but then let's say we needed to raise 100 million, even without Lewis Hall, it wouldn't be difficult. Ian Maatsen, he'll be 30, 35 million from Dortmund. Lukaku will go. Chalobah will go. There's lots of players that we can get off the books. And ultimately, this ownership, from what I've seen so far, they've set us up in a position where we're going to be forced to sell players. So if we have to sell Lewis Hall, we have to do it. But I actually thought there was an obligation to buy. So I didn't realize that he could be sent back. So there's no obligation then.
Well, doesn't for what I see, but I don't think there's an obligation as well. But I know people are saying that you got to pay 28 million quid at the end of the season for the obligation to buy. But no one knows. Nobody knows at all because only the club knows that. But I reckoned that if he plays a certain amount of games, then we have to fork out 28 million quid for the lad. And do you know what? I'd take him. I'd definitely take the lad because I think he's a really good player.
Who's playing at left back for you at the moment?
Dan Burn. Matt Targett's out. Livermore could play at left back, but it's Dan Burn at left back for me.
I like Dan Burn, you see. I like Dan Burn. But Lewis Hall's a different player. He's a different type of player, Dan Burn is, he's good, but Lewis Hall's technical and he's efficient. If you want to break down low blocks, even if you want to counter attack, actually, Lewis Hall's been very good. He had his best game in a Chelsea shirt away at Man City. And the press that they put on, he was able to get past that many times. He's versatile, so I don't see why he can't get into your team, even if it's not a left back. He can play as a winger. He can play in midfield. Very, very versatile player, and he doesn't seem to be causing many issues. Like you never hear anything in the press about Lewis Hall or him causing issues in the dressing room. He's quiet. He gets on with it. So for me, it's a bit of a strange scenario with Eddie Howe not playing him, but it's like any player. Pochettino is a bit weird with Mudryk. Mudryk scores one game. Usually when you score, you think as a player, right, he's got a bit of confidence. Let's put him in the squad next week. And then he drops him. And he's done that 5 times in a row, John. He started Mudryk has scored, and then he's dropped it in the next game. So with some players, some managers that just don't gel. Maybe there's no trust, a lack of understanding. But I don't think that we would struggle to get rid of Lewis Hall, if I'm honest with you.
No.
I think that there would be other clubs willing to pay.
Cool stuff. Absolutely. But I'd keep him. But we'll see what happens at the end of the season with Lewis Hall. It's up in the air at this moment. Thank you very much to the Jules. Please remember to click the share button, help the channel attract even more viewers, subs. Cost something to do so. Thank you very much indeed. And also do follow Alex on Chelsea Fan TV. Top guy as well. I do watch his channels, by the way, and he is an absolute talent. And big up to Amy as well. 190 people watching the show live. Thank you very much indeed. That is a record. That is a record views.
Is that a record?
And, that's my record. 189 views. That is with YouTube and Twitter combined. So yeah, that's a record views I've ever had. But thank you very much for sharing my channel, people. So yeah, I've done it for a couple of years now, and I've come a long way, and I've got over 7,000 subscribers. So come a long way.
Yeah, man. Well, you know, you've come from a different background with YouTube than me, John. You know, I started off just doing little vlogs myself. God, that would have been like six years ago or something like that. And then I wasn't really involved in it for a while, and you know, I don't know. He stumbled into this whole situation with the channel. Chelsea Fan TV was dead, to be honest with you, mate. It was dead. And we just came and tried to bring it back to life. So everyone's story is different. But, you know, you've got a nice, loyal fan base on here. I like some of the questions that we're getting from the chat as well. Lots of interactions. And, yeah, man. Do you go to the games, John?
I do. I go to the home games, go to some away games. I've, you know, I couldn't go on Saturday because I was slowed on that, which is a shame. I was going to go to the Chelsea match on Monday night, but I started my new job on Monday. So, got a new job started on Monday. I'm gutted. I would have loved to be there. I would have came to you as well for a fan cam. So I would have loved to come for a fan cam, but it's just not to be, man. But
you'll have to do a watch along instead, John.
I have to. I think I'm going to have to, man. That's a must. So I'm going to the Etihad on Saturday week, so I can't wait for that. But next season, I'll be back at Stamford Bridge. Can't wait.
It'll be good. It will be good. I mean, what's the tickets like with Newcastle then? Is it difficult to get away tickets? Because with Chelsea, it's practically impossible.
Yeah, what it is, right? I mean, they got like a point system. I mean, what they do now, you can only buy one per person. So on the point system, it go down from 50 points to 40 points to 30 points. It all depends on the club. Yeah. I've got I think I've got just over 20. I might be wrong, but you buy it when it comes to your turn. Then after that, you know, it just goes into sold out. So yeah. So it's I know a lot of people, a lot of our fan base are not very happy about it at all whatsoever, because nobody can buy 4, and they just do something good with it, which I'm not going to mention on my channel. However, right, but people are questioning fans, saying that new fans say, I'm going to go new fans going, but they think I'm a fake fan. I'm not a fake fan. I'm a proper fan. I'll go to the games, yeah, and I've been to the club winning the championship, and also when we got relegated in the 2008-9 season, 2015-16 season. So I went to the championship with Chris Hughton, Rafa Benitez. So yeah, I mean, away tickets, I mean, it's easy to buy, but you have to be on the points bracket. But Man City today went down to, I think it went down to 2 points today, and then now sold out.
Right, I see.
I know Chelsea's impossible. We go for the comments, and then we're going to talk about our game. Do keep it coming in. Just Spill being here, but we really have to be spoke by the success of the O'Malley and Liverpool, and therefore expecting the same from Lewis. Maybe you're expecting Hall to be ready too soon. That is the thing.
He's already ready, though. He's already ready.
He's ready. He's ready.
He played well for Chelsea last season. He played well. It was look, don't get me wrong. There was a period where he broke into the squad, and you had X amount of games. And as a young player, eventually you're going to have a dip. And he had a small dip. But then he got dropped. He came back into the squad, and he was great. You know, I think that Lewis Hall is Premier League ready. If he doesn't go to a team like Newcastle, I'd be very surprised if maybe a team like Crystal Palace or someone like that. You know, I think they might be selling their left back. So I think Lewis Hall would be a good piece of recruitment for them. Yeah, he's ready. I don't see what the easing into the team with Lewis Hall. He's ready. The only reason Dan Burn gets in ahead of him is because of his physicality. That seems to me the only logical reason. I haven't watched a lot of Newcastle games. I like Dan Burn, right? I think Dan
Yeah,
Burn's a good player. He's a local
he
lad as
is.
well. So he knows what it means to play for
Thanks, Alan.
Newcastle. But Lewis Hall is there. He's good enough. He's good enough for a Champions League team. I'm being deadly serious when I say that. And I would take him back at Chelsea. If Newcastle don't want him, give him back. Because I will take Lewis Hall.
Yeah, fair enough. It's gonna be tug of war between should we keep Lewis or is he going to go back to Chelsea? For me, keep Lewis here because I want Lewis because he is. You know I rate him. But there you go. Thank you for that one.
But John, let me ask you this. Sorry.
Yeah, man.
Is he your third choice left back then? Is that what you're telling me?
Well, according to Eddie, I mean, he's not picking him for some reason. Yeah, I reckoned because he's late for training. Yeah, but for me, he picks his favourites. Yeah, he likes Dan Burn. Yeah, he's a Dan Burn fan, so he's always going to pick his number one left back. Yeah, Matt Targett's out injured. He's out long-term injury. Yeah, Livramento can play left back as well, even Trippier. But for me, I'm mortified. Quite a mystery why he's not being picked.
So you're telling me that Livramento is starting ahead of Lewis Hall as a left back when he's available?
Well, he has played left back, but he's more like a right back. So I think
I know.
Playing
That makes
that's
it
very odd.
Confusing.
That's what I was told. That's what I've seen. But for me, if you're going to play left back, play at left back. Lewis Hall played in midfield against Man U in the Carling Cup and scored. He scored a goal in that game. I don't get it. I don't get it at all. I really don't get it at all. But I think Eddie should give him a chance. I really do. But I kept it really quiet. But now it's about time that he gets game time. Simple as that. But still, he's going to pick Dan Burn. There's not a lot you can do about it. No. So, oh God, man, sorry about that. Got one like Chester Hall may have been ready for underperforming Chelsea at the time, but he may not be Eddie Howe's ready. We're forgetting he's only 18 and we don't want to see Eddie in training. But Ches, he's a really good player, man. He's a really good player. For me, I think he's good enough to play in the first team. But Eddie thinks otherwise, yeah? And it's just strange, man. But also, is there an Eddie Howe signing? Did he really want that? Did Dan Ashworth must have gotten over, but did Eddie Howe fancy him? That's another question.
Oh, I don't know. I suppose he makes a good comment. You know,
yeah.
We were an underperforming Chelsea team, but you've got to remember as well. Sometimes it's difficult to perform in a team that doesn't perform. You know, there's nobody else that shined for us, and Lewis Hall was one of the few players that could do that. So that would tell me that he has a good character and would be able to perform in a good team.
Yeah, facts, absolutely. I'm with you, but only Eddie knows. I still think Howe had very little involvement with the whole deal, which brings us to Philip. If it's not because Hall is an Ashford recruit, it could well be. It could well be. No one knows. It could well be. I mean, apparently Eddie didn't want him. Dan Ashford did. And that's why Dan Ashford beat off, because he couldn't get along with Eddie Howe. No one knows. Alex, which Newcastle players do you fear on Monday night? That's from Alan.
Do you have anyone injured before I say that?
Nick Pope's still out. He'll be back next month by the looks of it. And Joe Linton is out until the end of the season. Joe Willock is back. He played last week and against Blackburn as well. But we've got our players back. And Kieran Trippier could be out for 2 or 3 weeks of a calf injury.
Okay. So you've got Almiron. How's he been playing?
Who's that, sorry?
Almiron?
Almiron's hot and cold for me, to be fair. He works hard, all right? He tracks back, works hard.
I love him, mate. I think he's quality.
Can't finish though, Alex. He just cannot finish. That's for last season. He scored 12 goals last season, his best ever season in the black and white shirt. But this season, he's not doing it much. I mean, he has scored a couple of goals. He's scored against PSG. But other than that, I mean, his shooting is diabolical. Fouls over the bar. I love his work rate. I love his smile. But his end product is just not good enough.
Yeah, well, for me, Almiron is a good player. And Bruno as well. You know, I like Bruno in the midfield. you get a lot of energy, you get a lot of quality as well from Bruno. And the one thing I think you have in the midfield that we're struggling with, I think you have a little bit more creativity. I think you have a little bit more potency as well. If I look at Chelsea's midfield with Enzo, Caicedo, and let's just say Gallagher, because he usually
Yeah,
starts in behind the
yeah, man.
striker, we haven't had goals this season. We've started to get a couple trickling through, but we haven't really had many goals. And Enzo's been misused and misprofiled. So what we found is we should be having Caicedo on one side, Enzo dropping next to him to give him a hand, but we're seeing Caicedo put on his own, literally as a
Yeah,
lone DM, protecting the whole back four. He's expected to do that and play out from the back on his own. And then Enzo's given all the freedom to go up there, but we can't get the ball up there because it's so hard to pass out with one midfielder. So what Poch did at the Aston Villa game in the Cup when we beat them 3-1.
you were good.
He finally played Enzo next to Caicedo. And there you have it. Enzo had a fantastic game. Caicedo looked good. Everyone looked good. And we had a good run of form up to the cup final. I actually think we played exceptionally well in the cup final. We did bottle it. But I don't put that to lack of effort. I put that to lack of quality, and that's where we need a little bit more potency up front. That's a different conversation. But yeah, recently we've just, against Brentford, John, in the second half, Enzo was having a good first half, and then we put him as a winger. We played him on the left wing, John.
Ooh. Wow, that's on.
I can't defend that. I can't defend that.
either.
So I'm interviewing these people and I'm holding the mic. Right, what did you think of the game today? And they're not doing it in a malicious way, but they're going, what are you going to say to defend Pochettino this week, Alex? I haven't got any. I can't defend that. I can't. And this is why we just have to grit our teeth in that sense. And I pray that we get European football so that we have something to justify this process, even though people go, oh, Conference League, this is not Chelsea. I hear that a lot. This is not Chelsea.
I heard it a lot as well.
Oh, my days. What is Chelsea? Chelsea was 12th last season. We're out of the cup, both domestic cups in the opening rounds against Man City. I don't know how the hell we qualified as far as we did in the Champions League. I mean, Dortmund was just, that was amazing, but it was a fluke. And then we got smashed by Real Madrid. That's our level, right? And this season we've had a significant improvement. We should have more energy as a team, more natural energy, more fluid energy. When a team just presses up together and it's not just energetic, it's organized. We do lack that, but I don't see a lack of effort from the players. Again, it just comes down to gelling. But Newcastle, you guys, you have a serious chance to get something out of this game. I mean, if I was genuinely going to predict something from this, I'd say 1-1. I think it's going to be a draw.
Yeah,
I think that we're under so much pressure to get results. You think Eddie Howe's under pressure? Pochettino is being booed. Can I swear on this channel, John?
Go on, I'll let you.
Okay. All right. At the Brentford away game, we had fuck off Maurizio chants. We had Todd Bowley, you're a C word chant. We were chanting Roman Abramovich, Jose Mourinho. And that was toxic. And that was a 2-2 draw. Imagine Stamford Bridge, Newcastle score an early goal. It's over. And it is over. The fans, they are, I get it. I do get it. If you're a match going fan and you go to these games, you are more likely to be emotional about the situation than people are watching on the telly. And that's why actually you get a lot of people watching from home, especially people from abroad. We've got a lot of American fans that I speak to as well. They believe in this process. They do, because emotionally, you're not spending that money to follow your team. You don't feel it's let down. You could take it with a pinch of salt. But you've got people spending 100 quid to travel with the ticket, you have food. And then you go there and you just think, what the hell have these guys been working on for 8 days? You've had a week to prepare. And this is what I'm seeing. So they're both right in their own respects. But, you have to look at football in a more objective form at times, especially if you're looking at it over a long period. And that's what I tried to do. But the Brentford game for me was the second game this season where I just said, Poch, what are you doing? And I don't think Eddie Howe's had a moment like that. You can be persistent with players, that's fine.
Yeah, yeah.
But tactically, Eddie Howe is good. He's flexible. He changes things in the match. He's not always the manager to react. He'll make a decision and then the other team have to react. And with Poch, it's always a reaction. It's never proactive. And that's where the frustration comes from Chelsea fans. But I think that if he gets to know this team a little bit more, he'll be able to be more proactive because he'll understand what players can do in certain situations. But again, there's two sides to everything.
Yeah, I totally agree, man. I mean, look, your fans deserve much, much better. I still couldn't believe that Enzo played on the right side of midfield. Unbelievable, man. I just don't get it at all. I saw the clips of it and it was shocking, absolutely shocking. I mean, you were lucky to get a point, by the way, as well. But when you get fans singing Todd Bowley is see you next Tuesday, right? That's not good news for Pochettino either. Do you know what I mean? That doesn't look good for him as well. Because normally that's where they set their manager there. And I've seen it happen before.
No, I don't think they're going to.
Not you, but elsewhere.
Well, I don't think that has any effect. I just think that our ownership are very egotistical, right? They have an ego. It's obvious, right? They thought that spending all this money in a short space on potential, like you do in baseball, was going to work. It wasn't, right? I mean, just because it's Chelsea, that's the name, and we have a history of winning, doesn't mean that guarantees you points. You have to back up the name with results off the pitch to give the manager a chance on the pitch. And the ownership haven't supported the managers in that sense. They've given them unrealistic expectations with very, very difficult teams. Again, I didn't expect to be winning the league this year, but I thought we'd have a wave effect. I thought we'd win games and lose games and always bounce back. I think we've tried to, but we're not able to bounce back as strongly as we want to. Instead of losing 2-3 games and then going on a run of 8 games on the trot, we're losing one and we're winning one. It's literally that inconsistent. There's no rhythm. So it's very difficult to build confidence as a team. We never have clean sheets. We can't stop conceding goals, and I mean, there's just so many things that you could point out with the Chelsea team. But I wouldn't say the squad itself is a disaster. I think there's a couple players you could bring in that would really help. But I think the timing of the squad coming together, that is where the real problem lies. And that ultimately is on the ownership.
Yeah, absolutely. But you know what? Again, sort of thing, it needs to be fixed up very quickly. Just on Newcastle, we've got Isak as well, who plays up front for us. I mean, he has an injury hit season.
I get Isak, yeah, of course.
I mean, I was going to ask you, what do you think? What do you think of this?
There was rumours in January that you had a few FFP issues, and maybe Chelsea would try and snap him up. But yeah, I mean, that was never going to happen. But no, I like Isak. He's a good player. He's a great finisher. I haven't watched enough Newcastle games to know how he's been playing recently. I mean, has he been good or?
I think he's 15 goals this season. Yes, he's been out injured a few times this season. And you know what? 15 goals. And you know what? This guy is fantastic. He's got pace. He's got power. He's good in the air. Good with both feet. Both foot or both feet, what you want to call it. He can play out wide as well. He's clinical. The guy's clinical. He scored last week. And I think he'll get 20 goals for us this season. And if he does that, that'll be a fantastic return as well for 63 million outlay as well. What a player, man. What a player. You could have done with him.
Oh, yeah, we could have done with a lot of things, John. We could have done with different owners, but, that's where we are. But, we can still make it work. This is the thing. Chelsea, we can still make it work. We're not blessed with, the whole thing with your owners, obviously Saudi, they are doing this for political reasons. You know, let's not. It's like the golf. It's like what they've done with the F1, trying to get more races out there. So they're trying to increase the awareness of Saudi Arabia, and they want Newcastle to be a successful project that reflects on their country, and that's why they play all these pre-season games in Saudi. You know, with us, it's not about reputations; it's financial. You know, so it is a different situation. You guys will sell the club, and to be quite frank, if you get a decent price for it, whenever that is, and I'm sure that won't be for a long time, you know, you'll be left in good hands in that sense. With us, you know, these guys are going to be penny pinchers when it comes to a sale. I'm not not suggesting that we've got the Glazers on our hands, but a large proportion of the consortium are here for financial gain. One of our owners, Hansi Wiss, who's a Swedish billionaire, the only reason he bought Chelsea, a percentage of Chelsea, was because he hated Roman Abramovich. I mean, there's no love involved with some of these owners. We have owners in press conferences saying that, and I can't remember the name of this one because honestly, we have so many. I think it's Feliciano Lopez or something like that. And he's gone out and he said, you know what, we're trying to build a great club, but ultimately, winning is not as important as building a sustainable business. I mean, it's hardly inspiring as a fan base. You know, I think if I was to be, from what I'm seeing, the main two catalysts in this ownership are Egg Barley and Bowley. Egg Barley is very stringent. I think Bowley's a little bit more relaxed. I've actually met both of them.
I've seen it.
They are nice enough guys. You know, Bowley is really happy to just have a chat. Egg Barley is a little bit more, you know, rigid. You know, that guy you speak to, he doesn't give you very long answers. That's Egg Barley. You're a nice enough guy, though, right? They need this to work, but I think it's for different reasons. I think it is for different reasons. We've had reports come out today that Bowley is speaking with, you know, his side of the consortium about the next 20 years at Chelsea, whereas Egg Barley and Feliciano, the other owners, are more worried about what they're going to get with their investors in the next in the short term, right? And that tells me from what I'm hearing today that Bowley wants to be here for a long time, which I like, by the way. I mean, that tells me he cares a little bit. Whereas maybe Egg Barley will be looking to sell on and withdraw money from the club, which there's nothing we can do about it. These guys can't do anything for 10 years anyway. I think it's 8 years now because they've been in 2 years.
2 years.
That was the contract of sale. They can't withdraw a penny. But you know, they want to increase the value of the club regardless, so that, you know, at some point they can sell their shares for a profit or withdraw dividends like we see so often with the Glazers. So yeah, I mean, it's troubling, but yeah, I don't really see what I can do. You know, I can sit here and I can complain, but you know, we're not in the same situation as, I don't know, Arsenal, for example, right? Arsenal had a really torrid time for a long time, and although they didn't finish 10th or 11th, they were significantly underperforming. They had very little investment, and you can kind of justify what they're doing. We've had a lot of investment; it's just been poor. So, I mean, that just comes down to incompetence, right? They're obviously trying to do something. They're just not very good at it. You know, it's like when you go on a night out. I'm sure you've been there, John. I've been there. You go out, you try and find a girl, you come back empty-handed. And it's happened to all of us, all of the guys on the stream. You know what I'm talking about. And that's what's happening with these owners. They're going out to the club. They're looking, right, not the right player. Okay, I'm going to go to a better club. I'll spend some more money. The wrong player, underage player, a lot of the time. You know, it's not a very good analogy in that sense. But you know what I mean. You know what I mean. We find a lot of young people that aren't ready, and the ownership are included in that because they have no experience. So ultimately, this is the time where they're going to make their mistakes. Rectify them, please. Spend some smart money. You know, I'd rather spend 100 million and get one player like Osimhen than spend 10 million 10 times on a 15-year-old from Brighton. You know, that's what I want to see. That's not what I want to see.
No, we want to see. Exactly. You need the best players. Ottoman, I was going to mention Ottoman, even your dream standard season. That guy is amazing. Absolutely amazing. Premier League will fit him to the ground. Let's be honest about that. But
100%.
another time.
Yeah, go for it.
So the go won't be too long now. And I know you're quite busy, Gam. I appreciate that for coming on. Thank you so much.
Mate. You're on my channel next.
Yeah, I am. You bet. Got some comments plans. Well, from Alan, would you be happy if Potter had more time at Chelsea?
Well, looking back at it, you actually have to feel for him. He had an impossible job, but I wanted him out. The day he got sacked, I wanted him sacked, basically. But up to that point, I did support him for most of the season. Yeah, I mean, I remember the Villa game. I think that's the one that we got him sacked. Everyone said he has to go. It was bad. It was really bad. But you had a dressing room with 10 more players than you needed. We had players in meetings that were sitting on the floor because there wasn't enough chairs. We had to extend our changing room, which has never happened in any clubs in Premier League history, if I'm not wrong. I've never heard that story before. Tell me if I'm wrong. Anyone in the comments? But whatever he does, he needs to wait for the right job. And I think he's rejected a couple. I know he had offers from France. I think Lyon tried to bring him in. I'm sure he's had a few lower Premier League offers as well. He's a supremely talented manager, and his tactics, the way he manages games, the way he tries to get his team to play, you do see a clear identity, which a lot of fans would struggle to say under Poch. I would say that Poch has an identity. He's just less rigid, a lot more flexible, which means that sometimes you see players doing stuff that you wouldn't really understand. But there are a lot of moments with Poch where he just does things that are stupid. Like Enzo Fernandez under Graham Potter was good every game. He was never bad under Graham Potter. Under Pochettino, he's been up and down. And it has nothing to do with Fernandez. Pochettino is the one that's moving him. So if you just kept playing Fernandez in his proper position, you would get the best out of this guy. So, I would love to know if Potter would have been able to do better things with his current squad. I can guarantee you Pochettino would have got sacked last season if he was in the same situation as Potter, because, it was an impossible situation to manage. So I suppose to an extent I feel bad for him, but we've got to move on. If there's one thing I will say that Pochettino is much better than Graham Potter, in my opinion, is his press conferences, his ability to speak to the press. I think Potter was really bad at that. He just didn't motivate. He didn't captivate. He didn't give the right answers. And it was small man talk. It was the lads gave everything, every game. No, they didn't, Graham. No, they didn't. Pochettino says that sometimes, but it's true. And he doesn't say it every week, right? Which is what Graham says every single time. So, he did run out of ideas to an extent. It would have been interesting if he stayed to see how the squad was cleared out, and if he could have done anything this year. I mean, that would have been the process if you really trust it. But we'll have to wait and see if things can happen with Poch. At the moment, I don't have a clue, to be honest with you.
I know. I don't know if it's going to be a good thing, but I don't think they sack him because it's FFP. They're going to have to pay him off as well. I don't know if he's on a season, but it could be a hefty lot on a 2-year deal. So that'd be interesting as well. To just see what happens.
I think Poch is probably on about 8 million. So I mean, if you sack him in the summer, you pay him 8 million. But Graham Potter, he was on a 8 million a year deal. I think it was it was like 40 million or something like that. He got paid. So whatever Poch is paid is nothing like what Potter had. Yeah,
exactly that, man. Exactly that. Just enjoy the match, John. You travel enough with work to follow the club. Yeah, I think that's fair enough there. 2 and Lawrence going in early, 4-2 to Newcastle. Wow. Good luck with that. I hope you're right. Fake fan, that's so dumb. Yeah. I agree. Take some downtime. And if you think I would have been doing it. Absolutely, Amy. Absolutely. Totally agree with you. So I just do my thing. I do my vlogs. I do the vlogs as well and matches as well, whether people like it or not. And that's the thing. I mean, I watch your vlogs as well. Your vlogs is absolutely top quality, Alex.
Thank
you know
you.
what I mean? Hughes, Lewis as well. Lewis is so passionate as well. Do you know what I mean? He wants best for the club as well, doesn't he?
He does. But you know, people think that different things work, right? He thinks that we should bring a new manager in and we're going to have a bounce. I don't. I think if a new manager comes in, he's going to get a small bounce, and then he's going to realize the players aren't good enough to have a bounce. So you know, different opinions. You know, Lewis makes great points as well, by the way, as to why we should sack Poch. He's not exactly wrong, but he's just looking at it from one perspective, which is here and now. I think that you need to look a little bit further down the line. If things go the same as this season, you know, next year, John, I'll be Poch out. I've got no problem saying it. You know, I don't like him that much, but I do think he deserves a chance.
Oh, absolutely. It's his first season, man. You know, you got to give him season one, see how he does, and then see what he does next season. It has to be better than it has been last season. Your club, Alex, before we go on to the predictions, well, your club should be in the top 4 every single season. For a club your size, right? I know people's going to say, no, I haven't got the define right, but for your club, should be in the top 4 every single season because you are a huge club, a massive club, one of the biggest clubs in London. Let's be real, right?
The biggest.
It's one of them. And the biggest.
Come on, John. Don't disrespect us.
Okay, biggest in London then.
Hey.
There you go. Hey. I mean, I've got a yellow card for that.
I mean, John. I mean, that's not even a debate. Where's Arsenal's European trophies? Where's Tottenham? Where's Tottenham's trophies? You know, it's not even a debate. Not even a debate.
Nah, you won the Champions League, didn't you? You won in twice to Jobs won the winning pen and Tuchel, which I can't understand why he sacked him. I really cannot. I don't know because he got you the Champions League, right? But under his new ownership, did he get enough time? No, he didn't. But
well, it was results. That's not why he got sacked. He didn't get sacked for the results. He didn't like the owners. That's why he got sacked. You know, he was invited to meetings, and you know, instead of going to the meetings, he would send his agent because he didn't want to speak with Bowley and Egbali. He wanted to focus on the players. The reason Tuchel loved working with Abramovich was because he didn't have to speak to him, and he could just focus on the football. Whereas these owners, you know, after we lost the cup final with Pochettino, he went out for a meal with Egbali. They went to a restaurant together. You know, do you think Thomas Tuchel wants to be doing that after you've lost a cup final? So very, very different perspectives from the two managers. I do think that Poch will collaborate more, but what the hell does that mean? You know, how can you collaborate with somebody who doesn't know about football? You know, collaborate at the Dodgers. You know about baseball. Collaborate at the Lakers. You know about basketball. Why are you trying to get experienced winners to conform when they don't? Well, when you don't understand what you're trying to get them to do in the first place. You know, I will say one thing before I stop. When Bowley had a meeting with Tuchel, one of the first things he said to him was, "I want us to have a 4-5-2 formation."
Unbelievable.
There is no such thing as a 4-5-2 formation.
That tells me he knows nothing about football.
There you go.
And he's only there for what he can get out of the money. Simple.
I think Bowley's enthusiastic. I think he's just a little bit out of his depth. Whereas the others, I'm still trying to figure it out.
Yeah, exactly. I totally agree all the way. Got one from Reese's football feed. Excellent stream, mate. I think Chelsea win this game by throwing in one monthly decent performance. Great content, fellas. Thank you very much indeed, Reese. I really appreciate that. And welcome to the channel as well. Do you mean Chelsea top 5 is Newcastle top 4? Yay!
It's a good one.
Well, that's a good one. I don't think it'll be top 4 this season, but the Chelsea are the top club. You'll bounce back fast for the rain. And everyone deserves a fair chance unless they do some real madness. Aston Villa again. Right, we're going to go through the predictions and the Chelsea Newcastle Monday night 8 o'clock kickoff. Are you still going to stick by ones each?
Yeah, 1-1. I think. 1-1. Yeah, I can see it being similar to Brentford. If I'm honest, I think you'll score first. I think it will be toxic in Stamford Bridge, and then I think we'll get an equaliser, but we won't have enough quality to finish the game. Yeah, I mean, ultimately, that's the best we can do. I think a draw is good for us, to be honest with you.
Fantastic. I want to touch on quickly on Conor Gallagher. I mean, people are saying that is he going to be on his way in the summer because of FFP? He's rated 50 million quid. I mean, for me, if I was Chelsea, I'd keep him. I mean, do you rate him? How do you rate him? I'll keep him 100% because he's a really good player.
Well, it depends if Poch stays or goes. If Poch gets sacked, I'd probably sell him, to be honest with you. If Poch stays, I'd keep him. But, you know, Gallagher does restrict what other players can do. I'd rather see, you know, I saw Mudryk play as a 10 against Leeds. He had his best game for us as a 10. Next game, he gets dropped for Gallagher. Chukwuemeka is better as a 10. Cole Palmer can play as a 10. He's been good on the right, but he can play as a 10. If you play Palmer there, you can fit Madueke on the right. You know, so without Gallagher, you actually have a lot of flexibility because Gallagher is only good in one position. He's not good as a pivot. He can't play on the wing, and he's not a striker. So you're looking at a player who has to produce results, who hasn't been producing output in terms of goals and assists. But what he does do is he presses. You know, he leads a team by example in that sense. But I don't have a problem with him. 50 million? Would I take 50 million for him? Probably not. I think he's probably you'd be looking at 60 if they were going to accept it. But I've heard 70, which is ludicrous.
I don't think you can spend 70 million at the minute, like, because of the FFP. So we're pretty close to FFP anyway. I think you got 400 mil, and we're very close to that 500 mil. So we need to be careful as well. But Cole Palmer, we haven't touched on him. Cole Palmer, for me, he'd be my player of the year for Chelsea.
Yeah, I like Cole Palmer. He's come in and he's made an instant impact, and just quality really. He's one of the few players I could say that about. I can say about him what I can't say about Gallagher, which is that he is Chelsea level, real Chelsea level. You know, Champions League quality player. He signed a long-term deal, and maybe he already regrets his decision in that sense. But you're stuck with us. So, you know, other people are going to have to step it up so that we can see Cole Palmer playing at the top of the table rather than mid-table.
Yeah, totally agree there. But we should have to wait and see. But next season's going to be a big season. I think you'll be right at that table. Trust me.
Absolutely.
3-1 to Alan thinks 3-1 to Newcastle. And I'm going to say once each as well between Chelsea and Newcastle. But
fair prediction.
For me, I'm going to go with you on that one, Alex. So we're going to wrap up the show there. It's been an hour, and it's been absolutely amazing. The chat, you've been amazing as well. And Alex, where can we find you on the wonderful channel, man? I mean, you're
Chelsea
so
Fan
popular.
TV. Chelsea Fan TV, guys. If you like watching angry Chelsea fans shouting at me, then that is the place to go.
Fantastic stuff. I will be shouting at you because I'm too placid. But
you'll be shouting over the telly, mate. But you know, if you get anything out of this game, then fair play to you. It's a shame you can't come down. We would have gone for a drink or something. But next time,
definitely. Because things are starting a new job, and if I went back home at 1 o'clock in the morning to do me second day, my new job, 8 o'clock, I don't know if that'd be a good look. Do you know what I mean? I don't want to go tired on my second day at work. So, do you know what I mean?
I can relate.
Thank you, man. But next season, you mark me words, I'll be there. And it's fantastic. So thanks for the chat. So thank you, Alan. Thank you, Lorraine. Thank you, Les, Jules, Chesney, mods as well. And I've got to tell you now, 379 watched the show tonight. That is a record. That is mainly by X, not much on YouTube, mainly by X people. Thank you very much indeed. Do subscribe to the channel as well. Do subscribe to Chelsea Fan TV as well if you want to fun and bants as well. I love that channel, by the way, especially on the fan cams. And I'll go with you backstage quickly, Alice, before you go. And last one there. Fina back soon. Fine, back soon. Okay. She'll be back.
I'll be back, Lorraine. I'll be back.
100%. And guys, if you'd like to feel like what you watch, I should be back in the next one. Make sure you like, subscribe, and like I said, as always, let's do this on Monday night. And I'll be back very soon. And I'll win a lot.